Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here, y'all. We are here to talk about somebody's son. Somebody's son. Season 1, episode 8. And goodness, people, did we really just see what we really just saw? Did Jasmine really just sleep with Chaz at the end of this episode? Are you kidding me? Jasmine, you going out like that? You are going out like that, girl. I can't rock with you no more, Jasmine. Jasmine, I can't rock with you no more. And in the house with the mama there, all to what? Win, Chad? Chad done told you already he not emotionally available. He ain't the empathetic man. So, girl, good luck with that. Good luck with that. So I'm out. I was rooting for maybe Chad and Jasmine, but I'm out. And if Lauren is the woman she keeps describing, she is. That would mean that once Lauren finds out, she should be out too with Chad. She should be out with him as well. He should have nothing left but maybe Paige. In fact, if all the ladies are whom they say they are, if they find out that Jasmine and Chad spent the night together in the room with the mama in the house and everyone else in the house, then they all should be out. Right? Remember Lauren was talking about the type of woman that Chad wanted was some woman at home cooking and cleaning, waiting on him to get home. And Lauren said, none of them women here are at the table. And I said at that time, don't be so sure, Lauren. Don't be so sure. Jasmine might be one of them. Because Jasmine is willing to do anything, it seems, to get this Chad fella that she hardly even knows. It's crazy. It's really crazy what young girls and young women will do to what? Have a man sleep with them? Kind of sad to watch. It really is sad to watch. But what was this show called? Too Many Mamas? I guess not enough. I guess it's not enough mamas. Maybe we needed a few more in the house here. And maybe the females, the ladies' mamas, needed to spend the night. You think that would have wrangled Jasmine? Anyway, we started off with Chad and Katina. And they decided they're going to go on a rock climbing date. They want to see how everybody gets along, take instructions, work together. It improved nothing. It improved not a doggone thing. And Paige was all happy because after she climbed the rocks and came down, Chad gave her a hug. And she goes, oh, not only did he give me one hug, he gave me two. Ladies. Chad is giving breadcrumbs. Crumbs. Maybe I'm just a little jaded because I've been listening to this P. Diddy trial and I'm just, kind of like what people do, what they're willing to do, what they're willing to suffer through, how they're willing to compromise themselves, their bodies, their integrity for what? Money, to win a man. You on national TV. It's national TV. You ain't got no mama or daddy or a sister or a brother or an auntie who's going to watch the show back and say, dang, you went out like that? And then what? If it wasn't filmed, you'd be what? Ashamed? I guess that's how people put themselves in their own trick bags. Play with the devil. Well, I don't know what these sayings are. Would you lay down with the devil? Lay down with dogs, you get fleas. You know, all these different sayings. But a lot of times it takes you opening the door for these things to happen. And then once you open the door gets shut behind you and you're trapped. Yeah. But women, we've come so far. But then you see things like this and you just think, and it's what's strange. I know I'm all off topic because, I almost feel like this younger generation, you guys have such a more advantage in a lot of ways because you have access to so much more information and you can see the outcomes, right? You got the internet, you got social media, you got people on YouTube telling stories. I mean, back in my day, we didn't have all this access to people's stories and information and advice. It was harder to find. But with so much access to information, even about what kind of stuff is going on out here in the world, it's almost as if people just disregard it and say, I don't care about, I've seen this story before. A girl sleeping in the house with a guy she wants and how it ends. I mean, it even told you a little bit about Chad, the fact that he even invited Jasmine to his room. That in itself showed a huge disrespect for his mother. We already been talking about this, of how much his relationship with his mother can be disrespectful. He resents her. And this is kind of like a slap in the face. That's how I would look at it. I would feel like it was a slap in my face, honestly. I would. So it's just not even about what Jasmine did. It's also about what Chad did. It also told you that he wasn't even looking out for her integrity. Remember, he was the one saying to Lauren, I like you, Lauren, because you seem like a woman that wouldn't embarrass me in public. That's what Chad said. But yet, he's willing to ask Jasmine to compromise herself and put her in a position where she's gonna embarrass herself. She's gonna be embarrassed. But I don't think she knows right now she should be embarrassed. I think she's gonna look at it as a coup. But we saw a little clip. Wait until he starts going back and still taking out the other ladies. It's sad, y'all. It's real sad. Chad needs to go home by himself. And like I said before, he needs therapy. He needs some real therapy because I don't know if Chad, like I said, this disrespectfulness, what he just did, maybe that's one of the reasons why Miss Katina had to send him with his daddy and said, maybe back then, back in the day when he was younger, maybe this been in him since he was a kid. I don't know. I really don't know. But I can tell you it was disrespectful. And he didn't have any type of care or concern about Jasmine, because if he did, he would not have asked her to do that with his mama in the house under these circumstances. We all been talking about how this show's been clean. It hasn't had a lot of trashy moments. But this right here reminds us of Love Island or some other kind of show. Never ever met. Right? It just came, we wasn't expecting this over here on Somebody's Son, but here we are, y'all. Here we are. But anyway, the date on the rock climbing, in the end, Katina already knew she had to choose Jasmine for the date, so it really didn't matter. Jasmine could have gone up that wall and fell down on her butt. She still would have got the date. And Jasmine says, I'm going to make everything out of this date that I can. And they had the date in the backyard? In the backyard. But before they got to that, we had to go through with James and Charlize. They're going to have a family fish fry. And that's when Charlize learns that she got to eliminate one of the ladies. And we already know that James is sold on Alicia. He's sold on her. There ain't nothing going to get him off that girl. And Charlize says, you always bring home these rescues, broken women. I actually don't know if Alicia is actually broken. Don't know if she's broken. I think this is her life, and this is what she wants her life to be, and she's not ashamed of it. So although I like Miss Charlize, I do think that she might be reading Alyssa a little bit wrong. I haven't seen any sign of Alicia that she's broken or has low self-esteem. She pretty much does say what she feels and what she means. She's actually pretty bold in her actions, because when she was sitting there talking to Mama Charlize, because they had the one-on-one, and they started talking about her nightlife job, Alicia surprised me, because what Alicia said was, she didn't say anything like, the reason I work the nightlife is because I need the extra money, because I'm trying to save money to do this or that. Alicia straight up told her mom that, yeah, I like the job because I get a chance to be out and about, and I get to be around a lot of athletes. I thought, Alicia, did you really just say that to her? That's when I say, Alicia, she just tell it as it is. She's not ashamed of her life. She says there's nothing to be ashamed of. This is what I do. This is a conscious choice. I don't think that she's a broken woman. I mean, be honest with you, I would look at Jasmine's moves as more of a move of a broken woman versus so far what Alicia has done. Alicia has said, I'm a good looking woman and I'm going to use my looks to make some money. Now, I get what Charlize is saying, that life doesn't always lead to good things. I agree with her. But I'm not for sure I agree with her that Alicia is broken. But she knows her son, and what she knows about her son is that she says her son tends to choose women that need help, right? Women that want to come up. And maybe that part about Alicia may be true, but I don't think Alicia even looks at James as a come up, because Alicia's come up, I think her version of a come up are athletes, not James, not no software engineer. James is a software engineer. And although he makes probably a very good salary, a very good living, I'm not quite sure that that's all that Alicia wants. Now, Mama Charlize told us something. She said that she doesn't want James to go back to that life of the club life. So maybe there was a time in James's life where he was in the club a lot, and that's where he liked to go to find his ladies like Alicia, who like to hang out in the club. And maybe Mama Charlize says that's not quite the correct place for you to go and find a wife. But I don't know if James is ready for a wife yet. I think James still wants to play. He still wants to play. He's not really ready to have a wife, settle down, have kids. James is ready to play. And what he's told his mama, when his mama's being told that she's going to have this opportunity to choose only 2 women, the mama says she has a sweet spot for Brevon because she feels sorry for Brevon. She knows that Brevon is not good for her son, but she feels sorry for Brevon. And she doesn't like Alicia. So she says, I'd rather have Brevon stay and not break Brevon's heart and not reject Brevon than to give Alicia a crack at my son. Sometimes you got to put things in God's hands, right? Some things you got to put things in God's hand. And although you don't approve, sometimes you got to sit, bite your tongue, and let it all play out. And then that magical moment will come for you, Mama Charlize. And when the magical moment will be, oh, we're having family dinner on Sunday. Are you going to come? Yeah. Are you going to bring Alicia then to the dinner on Sunday? And then your son says, me and Alicia broke up. And you go, thank you, Lord God. And you go, oh, okay. Well, there's that. You don't ask no questions. You don't get into it. All you know is that it worked out the way it should work out. And no need to stress you. You gotta trust in the way that you raised your child. But I tell you what, talk about how stories end. Talking about Jasmine. James's story, there are a lot of men like James whose stories have ended a certain way. See, when you're older like me, you have like the benefit of hindsight. You see these things And I'm an engineer. I was in the engineering school, and most of the school is filled with men, very few women. Most of the men are a little bit nerdy. The curriculum is so tough and so hard that a lot of people in engineering, we don't have time to always party in college like everyone else did. So you don't always have as much of a robust social life as, say, other people do in college because the curriculum is very, very difficult. But then, excuse me. But then after you graduate, you get a little money in your pocket because you come out making more money than most people do. You fresh out of college, you making more money than most of the other majors. You going out, showing, buying cars, buying clothes. Now you're really engaging in that social life that you didn't get to maybe do when you're in college. And I've seen men like James. And now all of a sudden they have access to women they never used to have access to when they were nerds in engineering and broke. But now that they've going to get their facials, their fresh haircuts, they're working out at the gym because they got a nice fancy gym membership to an expensive gym. They can afford a personal trainer. They got, they looking good. And now they got some money in their pocket. And then they start going after girls. I don't want to say girls like Alicia. I don't want to say that. I want to just say girls that they didn't have access to before, maybe. And does the story end well? Most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time, these men are way in over their heads with these ladies because a lot of these ladies have been running this game since they was 18 years old. And so here comes this nerdy engineer out of college, 23, 24, 26. And that young lady who has been beautiful her whole life has been manipulating men for a long time. She's got about 8 years of experience. He ain't got none. So eventually, it goes bad. She either cheats on him with another dude, or in some situations, she ends up birthing his child. And unfortunately, they don't match up in terms of life. Like Miss Charlize was saying, they don't hold the same values, right? Alicia has made it clear to James, we don't hold the same values. We think differently, around religion and other things, right? So you got to remember that those will be things taught to your children. So if you don't align on those things, I don't know who you think is going to teach the children. The mother is going to be mainly the main factor in a child's life and sort of like that way. So if you don't align with her, she's going to teach, more than likely the child would have, adopt more of her upbringing. And then Miss Charlize, in this particular case, she would be like, wow, I'm about to have a grandbaby with the young lady who I don't feel has the same values that our family has, and thus, but I have a grandchild coming. She's going to love on that grandchild. She ain't going to reject the grandchild. James ain't going to marry the woman. And he's going to learn a hard lesson. And then he's going to recover. And then he's going to go out. And he's going to say, I'm going to do it different this time. I'm now going to look for a woman. Now he's older. He's mid-30s. Look for a woman who now does share my values, because I do want a family, and I want the family that I had growing up. So he goes out and looks for another woman. And now that woman has to accept the fact that James had a child with, like I said, I'm not saying Alicia, some other woman. And then you have James and his new wife raising a family one kind of way. And you have this other lady who you never shared values with, raising your daughter or your son over there, that kind of way. And then the kids grow up, and the daughter or the son from the other lady feels different than your daughter and son from your new wife. We've seen it play out. We've seen it play out. And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen to James, but It's quite clear that James is stuck on Alicia for all the wrong reasons. And like I said, I actually don't think Alicia is broken. I think she's very sure about who she is and what she wants for her life. But I think that she and James just fundamentally have different uh, values for, or whatever you want to call it. And that's not even saying that Alicia's values are bad. They're really not. I haven't really heard anything from Alicia where I would describe her as, you know, as Miss Charlize said, a stray or a rescue. I don't really look at Alicia like that. But just because, but that still doesn't mean I think they're a good fit. It's no different from Brevon. Brevon is a nice young lady, but I don't think that she's a good fit for James. So as I look at these two people, James and Chad, I'll be surprised. It'd be interesting to hear or to see the end, who they choose to be their partner. They ask to go into a long-term relationship and to see how it goes afterwards. I could be completely wrong. This is me just talking. I'm not no authority. I'm not no psychic. I'm not any of that. I have no idea. But Brevon went home. I know she probably looks at it as a loss, but she should be happy. She should be happy. No need to want to stick around in the house with a man that don't want you. Don't let a man tell you once he don't want you. You're not going to convince him. So if a man tells you once he doesn't want you, he's not attracted to you, he's not showing no interest in you, move on. Move on. Don't now try to sweeten the deal and use your body to get him or do anything for him to change his mind. Nah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because even if he accepts whatever offer you offer him, he's only accepting it because you gave it to him for free. He's not going to value it. He's already told you, I don't necessarily value you, so I'm not going to pay attention to you. I value these girls over here. So waving in front of him, getting his attention, so that for that one fleeting moment he looks at you and he accepts something from you, it's just gonna be short lived. It's gonna be short lived. So, Brevon, be happy you got to leave with your dignity intact. All these mamas came to visit, but we didn't see much of what went on. They came in for one scene, huh? That was interesting. I wish they would have done a little bit more of the mamas talking to the daughters so we can kind of learn a little bit more about the ladies through their mothers. But Miss Charlize said it right. She said Alicia and James, they're not necessarily equally yoked on the inside, but outside, James will have to learn on his own, Mama Charlize. And honestly, you should probably stop interfering. I think you mentioned before, she said she had to break up James with another girl. Nah, he gonna have to learn his own lessons. Let one of them girls come along and really do him really, really bad. Let him come along and let that woman do him really, really bad. People are always used to, the daughters getting done really, really bad by a man. But let James meet a woman out here who is just as fierce as any other man that can be manipulative and user, and let her do him really, really bad. He'll learn his lesson then. Hopefully it won't be a lesson so bad that he can't recover from it. And a lot of times, some lessons are so bad, you do end up having children through it. And children are forever. And so you're tied to that person for the rest of your life. You're not necessarily with them. Your child's a blessing. You love your child, but your child then becomes that tether of you and that person. And although people want to break that tether and say they don't want to have anything to do with the mother of the child or the father of the child, you can't do that. It's too late. What's done is done. What's done is done. But I don't know. Jasmine, you went out bad, girl. You went out bad. And when they was on that date, and they was kissing, and Jasmine kept telling him, we just match, we just fit, we're just a fit. It's like she was just trying to convince him. She was trying to close the deal. And she said, you know what? Let me go ahead and close the deal tonight. He came in with his do-rag on. She came in with her hair bonnet. Y'all young people, I tell you, the do-rag and the bonnet on the first night, everything on the first night. Good Lord, I must be a stick in the mud, because I tell you, interesting. Even if they didn't do it, even if they didn't really, they come back and they say, well, we just laid in the bed all night and talked and cuddled. We smooshed a little bit, but we didn't actually go all the way. Kind of doesn't matter. Like, what you did alone was not good. Was not good. It was given like thirsty, desperate, wanting to win at all costs. Remember last week, Jasmine says, what was her little phrase? She says, I don't something I replace. Like, she doesn't come in second. She doesn't wait. She replaces. It was some phrase she has, basically saying she's the girl that's used to pushing out other women and getting the guy. I replace. So Jasmine might have a little history of being comfortable with playing this competitive game, wanting to win a man, that she's willing to step over other women to get him. Like she said last week, she's used to replacing people. I don't replace no woman. If I come in, he has to not have had one. Replace. Who wants to be that? You want to be the person who pulls a man away from another woman? Replace. That's side chick talk. That's side chick mentality. I don't know what didn't Jasmine say she was living abroad in France? Oui. I know the French are much more liberal with their sort of sexual activities and escapades. Maybe this is something she learned in France. I don't know, Jasmine. I don't know. She says she ain't shy. She said it about herself. She says she is not shy. And even Chad says he likes her assertiveness, that she goes after what she wants. And but what's the win if you win Chad and you destroy your own integrity, your own worth, your own value? Do you really win? This competitiveness. I mean, like I said, I haven't done a P. Diddy video recently. I'm going to do one. And I know a lot of you guys have been triggered by my P. Diddy videos. You've written to me. Don't watch them. But I do want to talk about it. But don't watch them if it's something that's going to trigger you. Because this is the phenomena I'm still really struggling with. And that is this idea that women are very comfortable climbing over each other, competing with each other, trying to one-up each other so that that man will choose him. Now, Chad ain't even got no money. He ain't even involved in no coercion, no RICO charges, no this, no physical violence. And you got Jasmine over here who did it willingly. You know, you add in money and power and all this other kind of stuff that P. Diddy has. But then I couldn't leave, because if I left, I couldn't keep getting this money. Oh, ladies. We got to do better. We got to do better. We are all smarter than this. We are all smarter than this. And I'm just not sure why, after all these years, all of this knowledge out here, women are still making these same mistakes. Sorry, y'all, this was a different type of review. It is what it is. Anyway, alrighty. Talk to y'all later. Bye. You can run, but you can't hide.